Hello there, welcome to the Reflection Show with me, Martha in Spice. We want to have a conversation about the rehab. Most times we go to the rehab, we send our family and friends to the rehab, and when we are back, we do not know how to easily get back into society, or even we that know family members that have gone to the rehab, how do we relate to them at a rehab? And this is a conversation that I believe that would help a lot of us, because not even necessarily the professional rehab centers, but if somebody has gone through a season of transformation from whatever they have been addicted to, it's a form of rehab, not just the rehab center. How do we help them so they don't fall back into whatever addiction that they have been trying to overcome for a while now? I am Martha in Spice. Let's take a breather. When we are back, we delve into the conversation. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, today is a great day. We met over 250 women here to inspire them and to empower them. The focus was to make sure that the widows that we have in our society, the single mothers, the women who are bought twins and probably do not have enough on them, the pregnant women that may not be able to go for antenatal, among other vulnerable women. The target was 250, but we reached 271 women. I believe that whatever target that we set and whatever reach that we have been able to achieve has helped a lot of women to become better. It was a day for us to talk as women. They shared their perspective on women economic empowerment, teenage pregnancy, taking care of their children, and how they can do better. We danced. We modeled. We had fun. And I believe that seeing these women chill and enjoy themselves at this point, it's something really amazing. So the Martha in Spice Foundation, with support from few of our partners, we had some donations from the Universal Merchant Bank, UMB, and some individual philanthropists who helped us to make this day a success. We gave them bags of rice, bottles of oil, tins of mackerel, some tins of tomato paste. Some got soap, some got Dettol, some got cloth, some got even macaroni, and a whole lot of things. Clothes, shoes, handbags. We were able to distribute to these women, and we believe that they have been able to support us greatly. Thank you to Glow Events for glowing the whole setup for us as well, and to Aki's Kitchen for giving us an amazing time of lunch to refresh and to entertain these women. We really appreciate everything. We are glad that we touched the lives of these women. Welcome back from the break. I'll be speaking with Mr. Peter Mentor Amadou. He's a clinical health psycho. I should have said doctor, right? You are doctors. Yours is not Mr. A, and I sometimes call you doctor. Okay. He's a clinical health psychologist by his occupation, and also I think the executive director for TOLEG.
Total Life Enhancement Center Ghana.
Total Life
Enhancement Center
Ghana. Just making sure that you and I, our psychological needs are met. You know, we don't usually hear about those things, psychological needs. Exactly. But now I think everybody probably understand what we talk about psychological clinical services. If not everybody, but I believe you delve into it. But we've been looking at rehab centers or even rehab. And I think in my intro I mentioned that sometimes it's not just about going to the center, but probably going through a rehab season where you feel like I want to draw myself back from these addictions and become better. But today I want to look at a conversation on rehabilitation. When we talk about rehabilitation in general, what does it mean?
Thank you very much for this opportunity to engage the people of Ghana, and specifically with those who have needs surrounding the issues of mental health and the provision of psychological services. It's a great privilege to be here, and I'm excited. At least we'll add our voice to call for support for individuals who do need these services. And I was so excited when I got the conversation and looking like, okay, we want to speak about this.
Yeah.
And the excitement was because this is something we have set ourselves to do. You have introduced an organization called TOLEC,
Yeah.
but I always call TOLEC a passion.
Okay.
TOLEC is passion.
It's passion.
Yes, because my first point of call is at the University for Development Studies,
Okay.
UDS, at the School of Medicine,
Okay.
Department of Mental Health.
Okay.
But when I'm not teaching, I'm not doing research. What else?
I don't.
Which the university call community service.
Yeah.
What do you give back to the people? So as part of the community service bit came TOLEC. Even though TOLEC was there before I got into the university, but I have had a reason to continue to push because
Great.
that is called the community service bit.
And very essential.
In the intellectual community or the academia. So that is how TOLEC came to be. So I often call it passion. When I'm not doing what will put food on my table, pay my children's school fees, then I'm doing TOLEC.
Yeah.
Yes.
So rehabilitation.
Yes.
What is it all about?
Rehab, just from your intro, I wouldn't want to take it from the very technical perspective, but to say that rehabilitation is a process where an individual tries to define, to re-identify, and to recover from a challenging situation. Because of the purpose of this discussion, maybe we can center it into the issue of some medical related rehab, where we can talk about drug, we can talk about gambling, we can talk about pornography, we can even talk about even excessive love for something that you want to stay away from. So in the rehab process, an individual who gets to a point where he thinks that this is so difficult, it is obstructive, it is challenging my functionality, and I want to get out of it, then we say this individual is looking for a rehab. And many of the time, individuals who we say do need rehab are those we say have developed what we call an addiction of a sort. And many of the medical or the health related documentations would define addiction as a brain and relapsing condition.
Okay.
It's a chronic brain and relapsing condition. Because what happens is that the individual is affected mentally, and it is relapsing because you try to make some progress, but if you don't get the right structures within a year or two or months or weeks, then you go back to what you wanted to probably say bye-bye to. Yes.
So we've seen that Ghana, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of rehab centers. I don't even think there's one in Tamale, is there? There's no one in Tamale. Now, if I want to go to a rehab center, is it just when they say that I'm going for a rehab, is it just the center, the professional center? Or is there a way, can I just be in my house and say I'm having rehabilitation?
Yeah, when we talk about rehab, as you intimately mentioned, what happens is that in Ghana we don't have a lot of them. In the northern part of Ghana, it's more disadvantaged because if you come to look at the number of rehabs we have, not all of them are so well furnished. There's one that is coming up in Tamale, but when I last time I visited, just about 5-10 patients it can take. I'm not sure up to 10 patients, 5 patients.
Wow.
5 individuals. So, are we then therefore saying that
the whole Tamale is so big, you just have a place
yes,
for just 5 people?
In Upper East, we have one religious organization that have established one of a sort to help. But that also is so small. So, to go to look for the professional rehab service, where I often describe a well-resourced rehabilitation center is like a 5-star hotel.
Okay, that's a well-resourced.
A well-resourced rehab center. You have everything that you need, and in terms of the activities and tends to engage the individual seeking the services always available. So the infrastructure, the services, the professionals, up to, top notch. But unfortunately, that's not what we have. But so if I need rehab, must I pack myself to a place where they say a room and ask me to stay and all of that? Not necessarily. If you get to a point where you think that there is a particular behavior, there is a particular attitude I'm not comfortable with in the area of substance use. So somebody have abused a particular drug for a very long time. For instance, in the northern part of Ghana, we know tramadol. But in our research that we did quite recently, shisha was stopping.
Shisha, yes,
Shisha.
yes.
Shisha was number one.
It's a modernized way of cigarettes.
Young ladies were doing shisha because they say it was not harmful.
And you hear people say, "Oh, I don't take cigarettes," and I'm like, "But you take shisha. It's the same thing."
Exactly. So when you get to that point of needing, and then you think that you will need some bit of support, not necessarily the well-resourced centers, but you can even start on what we call the outpatient rehab services. And most of the government facilities, like in the northern part of Ghana, walk into the Tamale Teaching Hospital, walk into the Tamale Regional Hospital, Tamale West Hospital, you probably will be able to meet a psychiatrist, nurse, or a mental health practitioner who can assist you for a while. And this facility I talk about that is coming up, what they do is that they admit people for some 2 weeks for what we call a detox. And after the detox, most of them end up at my place for the psychotherapy bit. So you probably need this for a while. It is when you are lacking the coping mechanisms, the skills that you are taught, or the skills that you are needed to be able to impact yourself, then you have not imbibed it. Then every now and then there's a relapse, then we will want to recommend that you do an inpatient rehab, where we are talking about the facility available, you go in for admission and you stay there minimum 6 months, sometimes 3 months, depending on your capability. So sometimes even before you call and make all this arrangement, they are asking, are you capable? We won't want to start anything that along the line you want to ask her to stop.
The capability is financial
capability. And beyond that, even beyond financial capability, the willingness, the desire
to go through the sessions.
Because it's a lot of activities, it's a lot of learning, it's a lot of self-rediscovery. And if you are not ready to discover yourself, it sometimes can be very difficult.
Now, after I've gone through all these rehab and all that, what do I do so that when I come back, I don't go back into the addiction? Because I can have the money to go and spend 3 months, 6 months at the rehab. I will genuinely come back and not be addicted to the things I was in. But sometimes people come and they have, let me say, a relapse or something.
Yes. So in the area of rehab, relapse is part of the process. So we do understand. That's how we are not going to do a rehabilitation process with an individual and tell you, oh, that's forever. It's like, having malaria. We are soon going to be in the rainy season, and malaria is going to be with us. The mosquito will be around. So somebody within the period of 4 months, 5 months rainy season period will get the bout of malaria 1, 2, 3 times. That is part of it. Yeah. But in the area of rehab, we do understand that when you are going, we let you understand that when there is a relapse, don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up on yourself, because sometimes a little slip back, then I'm useless. I am finished. There's nothing I can do again. So this thing I'm even fighting, I'm already in it. Let me continue to be in it. It's like swimming in a sin that you have gone and you have spoken to your God about that you don't want to. And you say, oh, after this one, the God will not forgive me. So I want to continue to remain in it. And so that's what happens to many people when they get to the point of thinking that this is not difficult. This is not so easy for me. I just want to stay in it. So when they don't develop proper coping mechanisms and they have come back and the triggers are still there, you have gone for rehab. Those people who led you peer pressure are still with you, and you are still with them and staying late with them and doing almost everything with them, you can go back to the rehab center again. Sometimes lack of support from family. You have a family member who has gone to rehab and come back, and what do we hear? I mean, sorry, but that's the truth.
Your madness is here again.
It's here again.
For the explanation. Yeah.
And that is not really very helpful, because at the end of the day, this is somebody who have been fighting a battle.
Yeah.
And he's been looking at you as family to fight that battle. And so if you as family will now end up saying that, oh, see him again, everybody is here doing normal things and look at what you are doing, you demoralize such a person.
Especially if you try to, let's say if they are taking decisions or something and you try to bring something else, they will make you feel like unwanted, or you have nothing better to say offer. Because if you have something better to say, you wouldn't have gone to the rehab.
Exactly.
So let's look at the role of family and friends in helping people that have just come back from the rehab centers.
So when it comes to family, we're talking about that emotional support, that social support, that solidarity, that we are with you. We know you are in a very difficult situation. You have taken steps. Here we are. So it means sitting down to chat with this person. Maybe you have some work to do. You are involving this person, as long as it's not a very technical work. There's a conversation, this person is part of you. There's decision making in the family, this person is part of. Then the person will come to a point of realizing that they are valuable, they are functional. And so it becomes very meaningful for them to want to say that what I have tried stopping, what I have tried to do away with, I need to enhance that. And that is how you can get, the family can be that supportive. Friends, what can they do? We don't need to be making fun of this person. Stigma, because at the friendship level is where stigma comes.
Sure.
And discrimination. So you are sitting down and he comes in, this person who has gone to rehab comes back, and then everybody is, oh, I'm going, I'll have an appointment. It's not because you have an appointment, just because this person who probably have gone to a rehab and have come back is the reason why you are moving away. And so when you do that, you demoralize the person. So he needs that social support, socialization, connection with his root. And which are the root? The root are the friends that he has. The root are family that he has. And these are the people that he needs. Because if we can get that emotional support, that belief in the individual, if anybody at all is giving up on you, we are here for you.
Yeah.
Because his circles of friends, circles of family members can be the energizer for such a person to move forward. And from rehab, what we do need very much is motivational messages.
Yeah.
We know this is difficult. We know it's trying. But we do understand. And we are here. Is there anything we can do for you? Sometimes, family members, we do encourage to be part of even the therapy. The number of clients that have come to our facility, and we have often called for what we call family counseling. Because this person is going through this whole thing alone. And if you don't understand what this person is going through, what you're going to do is that you're going to make statements that will undermine the progress that the person is doing. So family therapy, family members need to be part of it. So at that point, there are at some point to some key friends. These are friends that the individual will describe as, I can't do anything without. So these are people that need to understand what he's going through. What are the signs of relapse, and what should they do if this individual finds himself in that moment? Recently, I had a student in session with me, and he had very good support systems. Because family not with him, because the level of education, he's not staying at home, he's staying in the school. And these are friends in his hostel who keep giving him support, who keep encouraging him. They pull him out of the room to go for studies, they take him out of the room to go for lectures and all of that. So as part of the conversation, he mentioned these people. And I said, is it possible to talk to them? And after inviting them, they really willingly came for that encounter. And each of them, I made them to understand that it was not just a mere activity they were doing, they were contributing significantly to the mental well-being of this individual. And they were so excited. And for a while now, this young man is doing well.
Wow.
Doing very well. Wow. So some people, all that people do need is support, connection. Connection with our root, connection with our social settings. And when we get that connection, it becomes very important. Quite recently, there was a research and a documentary that talks about what we do need, what is the human need when it comes to survival. It's socialization.
True.
It's socializing. When we socialize, we connect. We actually bounce back after difficult moment. So that resilience that is needed, family can provide that in the process of rehab.
I think the issue has always been like with family.
Yes.
Sometimes it's very difficult because now everybody wants to live on their own. We don't want to get close to the family. I always say that me, my house, like how we live, there were about 5 apartments in a very big yard. I come out from my apartment. When I see you, I say good morning and I'm off to work. When I come back, I see you, I say good evening and I'm back. Once I enter my apartment, I lock. So most time I just enter my room and I hardly come back. Someone even in my house even put to bed and I didn't even know until after about 3 months. And I'm like, I've not been seeing this person. They say, oh, she has given birth. So I think that we have lost that societal connection.
Yes.
We are busy chasing money and we just go in. Now, we've looked at the role of the family and the friends and the individual themselves. What can they do to help themselves to become better so they don't go back? Because you can have a very good family who would sponsor your stay at the rehab,
yes,
who would come around with friends, even drive you around. You know, some people just want to sit in a car, drive around town to help their mental health. Yes. All the concerts in town, they would buy tickets just for you to go. But there are times that the people themselves are not kind of willing to break out from that shell, or like to be able to become okay after rehab. What can they do better?
Yes.
The people themselves.
So an individual who has gone to a rehab or has been rehabilitated in one way or the other, what can they do? We have what we call self-efficacy.
Okay.
And people need to believe in themselves and need to understand that every situation in which I find myself, I need to do something.
Yeah.
And that's why most of the individuals I have supported to either get out of one particular addiction-related challenge or the other, when they call me, the question I often ask family members who have taken the initiative to call is the person willing? Willingness to stop, willingness to stay away is number one. After you have said that I want to stop, you've gone through all of that and come back, what you need is positively occupy yourself. Idleness can make rehabilitation very difficult. And that's why when you go to a rehab center, you hardly can sit down idle. You are always preoccupied doing one activity or the other. And all of them have been premeditated and calculated, all towards your rehabilitation. So occupying yourself positively is very important. Connecting with things that you love, what we call hobbies. And one aspect of this is that a lot of us don't have hobbies. All that we know, just go do one activity and come back. Go do one activity. But when times are very difficult and the challenges of life hit you, you need to take a step backwards. What is it that you love? What is it that you like? And that is when you can connect with these things. So developing some hobbies, enhancing your hobbies, and engaging in them meaningfully can be very effective. And the connection I talked about, people that you love, and focusing on the target. What is the target? In every rehabilitation process, especially if you have to do with drug or something, alcohol, we're talking about sobriety. We're talking about ability to be calm, to make the best of judgment for yourself. And so if you know the target, that is excellent. And then you as the individual must also agree, I know the target, but it is good to set very achievable goals, not overly ambitious goals. Oh, I'm going to stop this particular challenge over a month, over a week. That is like you're joking. Set realistic targets. Celebrate small gains, effort, and the results that you make. So you make little effort. So it was like, okay, I have gone to the rehab, I stayed 3 months without drug, without alcohol, without, especially those who do gambling, without probably doing my betting and all of those things. Now I have come back. 1 week, I have probably stayed without doing that. Celebrate it. 2 weeks, celebrate it. And when you celebrate the small progress you are making in your life, that can be very significant for you as a person. At the end of the day, one other significant thing the individual need to do is mindfulness, to be mindful. You see, I have gone to a rehab and have come back. Doesn't mean I am champion. Just enjoy the moment. I am free of that particular challenge, that particular addiction. Enjoy the moment. So, practicing what is called mindfulness is one thing that we do need when the individual have come back. So that can help that individual stay longer without necessarily going back. But the triggers, you need to know your trigger. What are my triggers? So I know mine has to do with pornography. Yet you have all the sites which are pinned on your phone, pinned on your computer. How can you never go back to this? So it means that you need to get rid of all of these things. So whatever that will give you a reminder must be taken off. So if there's a site that you have pinned on your computer, you need to take it off. You've pinned on your phone, you need to take it off. So that you don't have access to those things. Anything that will remind you, serve as a trigger, you need to stay off. And that's how you can probably do well as a person coming from rehab. Once the triggers are there, you will just fall back so easily. And that reminds me, a young man went to rehab, stayed for a year. The very day.
People can stay up to a year in
Even
rehab.
more. Even more.
Why? They have no jobs or what? Because
they are really not recovering as expected. When you go to the rehab center, you have a target. And once you're not hitting the target,
there's a problem.
There's a problem. So it means that there's something you're not learning. And in the rehab, there are two things they do. They do what is called a cognitive restructuring, and they do behavioral activation. So when we keep doing this, and you haven't moved 3-4 steps and have fallen back like 3-4 steps, it means that we need to do more. It means that that whole month's activity has been null and void. Because what we wanted, we built on the achievement of every activity. So you didn't achieve once. I mean, we have to do it all over. It's like making a lot of mistakes in an assignment that the teacher has given you. Until he sees you doing the correction and having scored all, many teachers will not continue to do assignment. That is what it is in the rehab.
Wow. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to transform your poultry farming experience to new heights? Look no further. Wumpini Incubators is your one-stop solution for cutting-edge automated incubators, perfect for both industrial scale farms and domestic use. Powered by solar energy, these incubators bring sustainability to off-grid communities. Explore our comprehensive services and tailored products like consultancy to farmers and firms, hatchery for all kinds of birds like guinea fowls, domestic fowls, quails, turkeys, and ducks. Also, you can purchase your locally produced feed to meet the nutritional requirements for your animals. At Wumpini Incubators, we sell day-old chicks ranging from guinea kids, layers, broilers, cockerels, turkeys, ducks, quails, and pea fowls. Whether you are an individual farmer, a research organization, a school, or an NGO, Wumpini Incubators has you covered. We proudly serve governmental entities in agriculture, ensuring a sustainable and efficient approach. For further inquiries, you can locate our office at House and Zongo in the same building with the Premier Bird Company. You can also visit our hatchery service at Kumbungu Zona Yili, just 1 kilometer from Julizo. Call us on 0241 250 896, 0206 158 382. Wumpini Incubators, where innovation meets agriculture.
Welcome back from the break. Still here on the Reflection Show with me, Martha Inspired. We are still looking at life after rehab, just to make all of us understand there is a way we can help our friends and family who have gone to the rehabilitation centers, because this is a very dicey issue. You spend 3-6 months, and I'm just hearing that even a year at the rehab. You come back, and instead of you to feel better, you are getting so crazily, let me say, relapsed. You gave a story on somebody who spent a year at the rehab, and what happened?
And returned, and this day he was home was the day he relapsed. And basically, it looked like almost that whole 1 year
was a waste of time.
Has to go back again.
And money, because I'm told it's very expensive.
It's very expensive.
I'm told sometimes even a money can pay between 3,000 to 5,000, and that's even like on the modest side.
On the modest side. How many of our average Ghanaian having a child who need a rehab services can afford 3 months? 5,000 by 3 months is 15,000 Ghana cedis. Maybe for
that's the least.
The least. For the purpose of maybe viewers who are not Ghanaian, this is close to $150, and that's huge.
Wow,
that's huge.
That's
even though
$1,500 for the 3 months.
Yes.
Wow.
Well, yes, that's huge. And so an individual, an average family obviously cannot, and that is why sometimes you find them, they just have to leave them. They become disorganized, and before you realize, one particular challenge or the other will set in. And one of their other challenges has to do with comorbidity.
Okay.
Or comorbidity simply means that I am battling addiction, which is a health-related condition. I'm also battling another health-related challenge.
Okay.
It could be because of the addiction. If it is drug, can lead to kidney-related challenges. So combining all this together becomes very difficult. But see, one of the challenges also with these individuals who have gone to rehab and come back is what we call the craving or the temptations. So the desire, call it the appetite to go for the substance again. It's always very high. And if you have not built that coping strategies, if you have not learned well at the rehab center, once the triggers are there, once the edge is there, you want to go out and get it. And sometimes not very, very appropriate. Emotional instability, unnecessary anger.
They easily get triggered to get angry by the slightest provocation.
Yeah, so with that, they think that the best way is to probably go back to where they are coming from. But that's not what they want. It's just that emotional instability that is causing the situation in which they are found. And sometimes the stigma and discrimination among friends and family can also lead to this. And so somebody was employed, he has gone to a rehab and come back, and the job he was occupying is no longer available for such a person. But
sometimes you can't also fully blame the employers because if you are away for 3 months or 6 months and you come back, that means the job has to be vacant until that time that you are back. It's coming. No matter how they want to support the mental health agenda, but of course they also need to make some money so they can even pay or even support you in other ways. I'm trying not to pronounce this word, recuperation.
Recuperation.
Okay, sorry, I think I didn't get the spellings correct here. What are some of the challenges that people face from rehab?
Yes, so that's just a part of it. I was mentioning the triggers, the temptation, the craving, and then the emotional instability, the co-occurring conditions, and then financial pressure, relationship pressure, because you come back from the rehab, and then the tendency to have lost a good number of your friends is there. How do I reconnect? How do I start all over? Identity, self-identity.
Yeah.
Some people go for it because at the rehab, like in my intro I did mention, one thing that you go to rehab to rediscover yourself.
Sure.
Some people go to rehab and come back and they are lost in the environment, they are lost in themselves, and sometimes it can be very difficult to connect back. And so self-identity can become a challenging thing for some people. And then above all, the issue of shame and guilt. Shame and guilt, stigma. Oh, people pointing fingers. Society labeling you. Family members calling you names. These are some of their challenges. And these challenges has the potential to derail the progress that has been made at the rehab. And so, as we mentioned about the support of family and friends, it's where we need to hammer, connect with them, socialize with them, engage with them, assist them, do things that are looking difficult, and participate. Let them be part of major activities that is within their environment, and that makes it very okay for them to be able to come out of these challenges.
But you see, there are times that you see people who have just come back from rehabilitation, and it's like even the place to stay is a bit difficult.
Exactly.
Because their family do not want them to live at the place they used to live again, and that can, so if maybe out of drugs, etc., was the reason why I came back. I mean, I went to rehab and now I am back, and the family do not want me to live in my house or whatever again. And maybe my friend who introduced me, or who even still does those things, says, oh, you can come back and live at where I want to live. I don't know. I know it can be a very dicey situation, but how do you still be able to manage your triggers while living with a friend who is not even looking at quitting?
That's a very tricky and dicey one, as you indicated. So you've come back. Family members are not so enthused. They are not so excited. They are not ready to welcome you, and that can actually serve as a setback. Can serve as a setback. So if you find support from a friend, what can you do? You need to be focused. You spent a number of months, you spent so much money, quality time, and so you need to tell yourself, yes, if this is the only place for me, I want to stay here and still remain relevant for myself. Commitment and focus to all that you learned. And you also need to bring back your skills that you have learned at the rehab, what we call positive coping mechanisms. So it means that if it is just the space you need, and this friend has been able to provide you the space, so it means that you have to you probably have to find a way of cutting ties with a lot of the things that he's doing. He has provided you a sleeping place. There's probably a meal he has provided you, but he's going now to connect with other people. If this is the only opportunity left for you, you need to be able to resist. Following him out, staying in their midst, and continuing to do, trying to say, I am champion now, I can't fall back. You cannot say that. So you need to get focused, and you need to be dedicated towards the things that you learned, and to keep practicing positive coping mechanisms, which you learn.
Positive coping mechanisms. Those are what the mechanisms or the strategies you have learned to be able to resist the relapse.
Exactly. So what is it? You have a hobby. Maybe some people love to read, other people love to play games, other people love to just something that you, so focus, let your energy be on these things, and then also develop that cognitive problem solving skills. So maybe if I meet this particular challenge, what should I do? Connect with people who appreciate you. This person can provide you a sleeping space, but there are some people who can meet you outside and connect with you differently. Connect with them. And I will want to add that to do well, you need, I often have categorized individuals in our life into two, what are called the inflators and deflators. At this moment after rehab, you need inflators in your life. There are people who energizes you. There are people who encourages you. There are people who believe in you. There are those you need. The deflators are those who suck a lot of energy from you, and they demoralize you, and they may keep you in that bad company that you don't want. I call them the emotional vampires. So you have to leave
emotional vampires.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because they meet you and virtually they leave you empty. They suck all the energy, all the motivation in you. And if you are with these people, you can always see the drug, that alcohol, that particular substance, that particular behavior as the only source of happiness. But that's not the only source of happiness. So connecting with the people you love, your inflators, will help you to be able to stay focused.
Okay, we've looked at the family, what they can do. We've looked at the person. Now, let's look at the rehabilitation centers. In as much as sometimes a chunk of the work has to do with the person themselves.
Exactly.
But do you think that the rehabilitation center, so what would I need to see to say that this rehabilitation center is well resourced?
Okay, so if you a well resourced rehabilitation center has maybe let me talk about the structure, the infrastructure that they have. They have a well built facility, spacious enough, beautiful greenery. Talk about beautiful sites, a site like things that are very attractive. That is the space we are talking about. It should also have modern day specialists. Talk about psychologists, talk about psychiatrists, talk about social workers, talk about occupational therapists, and the like, nurses, and all that you can think about. So if they do have these people, then we are sure in terms of the human resource, that is well captured. Then they will have to be able to operate with what we call best practices, the modern day techniques. So what medication, if you are saying that I am giving medication, what medication are you even giving? Is it the old generation of medication? In terms of medication, we have different generations, first generation, second generation, and all of that. So which one are you using? Are you being modernized? Then that's on the part of medication. When it comes to the other component of rehab, which is psychotherapy, are you even engaging with modern day evidence-based techniques? You cannot continue to do the old things, because there are a number of research that have pointed out to a number of strategies that work. Are you employing those things? So if you do, then we say that your resource center or your rehab center is well resourced and has the best. And then commitment of staff and other team members, very important. And then beyond that, how the connection with the team members was also very excellent. Because at the end of the day, you won't have the psychologist in the rehab center 24/7 sitting there. He surely will have to just come and do something. When you are supposed to come and do something, are you there? Very important. And so any day at all, I schedule a client and I am not able to make it, I often will call. The last thing I will give most of my clients, because I do psychotherapy and I also do outpatient rehab services, the last thing I will give you before you leave my room is always my number. You have come here, you may feel so energized, but maybe you get home and you probably have forgotten something and you want to, I wanted to mention this, but I didn't have the time. And so I only have a notebook with me, and I have a particular page on my phone that I just record things. So somebody calls me, I go to type there, because we're all busy doing a lot of things. So when I go back to the consulting room, am I going to remember that patient A called and said this for me to fill in? No. So I write it somewhere. So that is very important for a rehab center like that. Having this category of people and infrastructure, very important. You remember I mentioned greenery. Green is beautiful. Green is relaxing. And green is motivating. Unfortunately, we don't have that. And so it becomes very difficult. And so when you are connected to green things, you kind of try to, for lack of a better word, try to rewire your brain, and that is very helpful for our own survival. Unfortunately, these are not the things we are able to do very much in our environment, because our environment is degraded. I mean, a lot of rubbers, a lot of plastic, and the environment is not looking beautiful. So it can become very difficult for us to overcome these things.
What do you think is the challenge that even in the 21st century, a big city like Tamale, we don't have a rehab center? Is it the government or private investors, or both?
First, I will talk about priority.
Okay.
And second, I'll talk about mental health literacy. Third, I'll talk about investment. Priority. People think mental health is not important. And so I have often asked people, I'm sure all your staff here, you recruited. How many of them had a psychological assessment?
No one.
But I'm sure you possibly had all your staff going through medical assessment. They brought you medical exam.
Yeah, most of them.
Some
of them have that.
So, why are you interested in my
health stuff?
In my physical health, and you're not interested in my mental health? And so I often would say, why do you want to know if I am infected with an HIV virus, if I'm infected with tuberculosis, tuberculosis or whatever it is, if I am infected with hepatitis or whatever, yet you don't want to know what my thinking is? And the low level of mental health literacy is our understanding of mental health.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, how do we understand mental health? Our understanding of mental health is madness. People working with drugs. But 50 years ago, over 50 years ago, when the WHO talked about health, they talked about 3 components: physical, mental, and social well-being. Not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So this mental part, do we pay priority to it? And this mental part, they also went further to say that for you to be mentally healthy, you need to be one person who knows your ability, who is able to cope with the normal stresses of life. Life is very stressful. Who is able to work productively and fruitfully, who is able to contribute to his or her community. This is the definition of mental health. There's no madness. And I often will end by saying that if you don't pick anything from a definition like this, mental health simply means thinking, feeling, and behavior. Am I thinking well? Am I feeling well? Am I behaving well? If you do anything out of what society have categorized as appropriate,
then
check your mental health. And that's, I often will tell people, if you frequently visit the hospital and your doctors, nurses, health workers are telling you there's nothing wrong with you, I often tell them, please do a mental health checkup. And so this is where as an organization, we have been pushing and saying that because of the low level of mental health literacy, we need employers to be interested in mental health. Because that person you have employed as a driver who has woken up with a particular thinking pattern, he's moving to at a speed limit of 200 and he sees it at 120. You're in danger. He's not thinking right, so he can endanger your life. So let's think about mental health, incorporating mental health into our daily activities and investment. We really don't. I have been in the mental health space almost a decade now, but I'm telling you, I've really not had funding specifically towards doing all that we are doing. Meanwhile, we're in the schools, we're on radio, we're in the churches. So basically, funding becomes a challenge. And the bigger one of it, stigma and discrimination.
Stigma and discrimination. I keep hearing this in most of the educations or the things or whatever that we have. It has become so rampant.
Exactly.
It's because we don't understand what mental health is.
Yes, it's understanding. So if you do understand, somebody who has mental health is just like somebody who has hypertension. So if I have hypertension, will you run away from me?
No.
If I have diabetes, will you run away from me? How come I have just simply told you that I am depressed and you're looking at me with a third eye?
And we demonize depression.
Exactly.
Sometimes, like you said, thinking, feeling, and behavior. There are times that somebody reaches out to you like, I'm not feeling, when you're like, oh, where? What is wrong? Which part of your body is paining? So sometimes I hardly use the word I am sick.
Yeah.
When I say I'm not feeling well, I'm not talking about malaria or typhoid or anything. Emotionally, mentally, I'm not okay. I want to pull myself together. So I may not be able to attend certain meetings. And people will be like, oh, just sit in. There are different things. There are times that I cannot contribute effectively just because I feel that mentally I'm not okay.
Yes.
But why do you think we haven't taken mental health seriously from the work that you do until it hits you hard? Somebody loses a family member, and you're like, okay, visit a psychologist, and they're like, oh, I'm okay, I'm not mad. I remember years ago in 2014, the very first time I spoke to a psychologist, I was talking to some friends and I'm like, I'm going to the hospital, and they thought the normal, and I said, no, I have an appointment with a psychologist. Hey, the way they had to pray for me and stuff, and like, and what is this thing? And you know, that's why sometimes I'm unable to talk to some people because they feel like whatever you are going through is very little. Or they say your problem is common.
Yes. So it's just the understanding. I call that mental health literacy. Low. That's the findings we have from our advocacy, from our data that we are gathering among the people of the North. The mental health literacy level is low.
Yeah.
And because it's low, when you say something, somebody least expect you to, or by you to, you should be able to snap out of this like, but it's not like that. So
everyone and how they actually deal with mental health and whatever issue that they are going through. So I think that it's not something that, you know, I don't like when people make it look like what you are going through is not valid.
Yeah, it's not valid. Oh, don't worry. I mean, no. appreciate what the person is going through. If there's any support you can give, provide. But don't make it look like, oh, it's not necessary. What you're going through, oh, this is not an emotion you should be talking about. So, basically, the biggest challenge we have with mental health is the literacy level.
After coming from rehab,
Yes.
do I still need to probably visit a psychologist once a while?
Excellent.
Do I still need to do?
Yes.
Once I'm done with the rehab, the psychologist I met, maybe if I'm in Tamale and I went to the rehab in Accra or Kumasi, and I come back to Tamale and toe leg is around, do I still need to once a while visit, or once I'm done with the rehab, I'm done?
No, once we come back from a rehab, and many of the times, once they are discharging, your practitioners sometimes even try to find out where you're coming from, which are information they took before you even came, and then they want to find out, do we have somebody we can connect with? So I have gotten calls from Accra, from Cape Coast, from Sunyani and Kumasi. Oh, this person stayed with us for 6 months. The person is coming back and he's coming towards the north. I know many of the time our people, especially those who haven't come to the north before, they think the north is just one, and the person is in Boko, the person is in Bolga. But these are places that I have moved on. I have gone as far as Bolga to review clients.
Wow.
I've gone as far as Nalerugu, to Damango, to Wa. So almost all the 5 regions of the north I have to travel, because there is somebody who went to a rehab, and during the discharge process, they wanted to connect with another person to keep monitoring. Because if you don't monitor, if you don't support the person, what happens that the relapse can happen. So after rehab, you will need that occasional psychotherapy monthly, every 2 months, every 3 months, just to keep checking up on you. Very important. So don't go and come back and say that, oh, it's enough, I'm done. Yes, if you think you are, some people say that in the midst of some few triggers, then they go back and they have to spend so much again. So keep checking with your psychologist. Keep checking with your mental health professional.
With your mental health professional, with your psychologist. Very important. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
My name is Naima. I have a challenge with my aunt since I was in basic 5. If I'm in class learning on the board, it reflects. So I can't see well, I can't read well, so I have a problem with learning. So when I heard about the eye screen in Matter Research Foundation, I decided to come over and see how it will help me, and I'm very happy to be here today.
Welcome back from the break. I believe that listening to this conversation is helping all of us to understand that we have a peculiar role to play in the lives of ourselves, our family and friends that are very close to us in the area of mental health. Rehabilitation is very key, yes. Now let's look at communities where there are no rehabilitation centers and the person themselves want to stop, or the family want them to stop those addictions. What can they do if we are not, if we don't have very, let me say, professional or equipped rehabilitation centers?
Yes. So in jurisdictions where we lack the professionals and then the infrastructure and the equipment needed for rehab, first, from the individual, the willingness to stop, the willingness to say no to that particular addiction or that particular challenge is important. Then when it comes to family, the support system. Then friends, the support, connection with him or her is very important. Then the society, we need to provide that enabling environment. What is the enabling environment that the community can provide? We do understand that most of the triggers are within the community. So once we can support somebody by saying no to them in a very nice way, you know very well that this person is battling this particular challenge, yet he comes to you and you are selling. Especially some of our areas where they have some drugs that are really not approved by FDA and people are peddling. This is where we need to play the role, and that's how in the society we need regulations. The regulations very important. Regulations coming from FDA, regulations coming from the district assembly, the government agencies, regulations coming from the Food and Drugs Board, and regulations coming from the Pharmaceutical Society or Ghana Pharmacy Council. Very important. Which are the drugs which are the substances that you can easily dispense? And that's how we often see part of the community regulation or societal regulations. You see that a particular drugstore is locked or by the pharmacy council. A particular pharmacy is being closed for ABCD reasons. Sometimes because they are dispensing what they are not supposed to be dispensing. And so when it is like that, our role in the community is to report. And then the regulations will take over, and then we can be sure that we are contributing to the rehabilitation process.
Okay.
If the person wants to get out of tramadol, but he moves and tramadol is all over, he will surely not be able to stop. But if the regulations are such that it becomes very difficult for you to get the tramadol, very difficult to get the substance of abuse, then we are playing a role in helping this person to overcome that particular challenge. So this can be what we can do as a community, as a people within the society.
Okay. So briefly, we don't have a lot of time. I want to just briefly in bullet point the very importance of rehab, because some people feel that it's a place that does not really have any effect, or you can. So just in bullet points, why is it important that people access rehab services?
Yes. So rehab services become very important because it helps us to re-identify ourselves. It helps us to become more functional. It enhances our connection with people around us, and it provides us the resources, call it the mechanisms or the strategies needed to deal with triggers. And it also helps us as to how to deal with relapse. When if you don't go to rehab, there are some of the things people don't know. So when you go to rehab and come back, your understanding, your knowledge volume is different. And so from rehab. So these are the things that I will say that are reasons very important that we need to pay attention to. What I do is psychotherapy, which is a component of it, can be part of rehab. I have been in therapy with clients. When we finish therapy, I ask them to go, what I give them as an assignment or go home to do. They finish and they have put it together and it's like a book. One of them brought it and was like, yes, that you have developed a manual for effective living for yourself. Keep that.
Wow.
And that is what rehab is supposed to do. After they have helped you to identify yourself, they send you out there, go and be a better person. And that is
be a better person. Give us your final words and how people can get in touch with you, especially at Toleg.
Okay. Thank you. Exciting to be here. This is my second appearance in this program. And the last time I spoke about mental health, I've got a number of people call me.
Great.
It means that you're doing well.
Great.
Keep up the good works.
Great.
But to tell the people of Ghana, mental health is important. And if we will prioritize our mental health, we'll become better people. Because if we are mentally healthy, you become a better person. That's how Mental Health Authority says that mental health is total health. Mental health is total health. And this mental health is total health was said in 1954. Was said in 1954 by Dr. Brook. Why? Because 1954, they saw mental health as very relevant. Today, in the 21st century, do we still see it? Is that how we see it? If we don't see it that way, let's change our thinking about mental health and we can do well. I want to call on employers. And I've already made this call when I presented delivered a speech at this year's NUCS program at UDS to incorporate mental health as part of student medical exam. Because a lot of stresses during education, if we don't detect it early, is where the suicide-related activities will be there. So we have a role as individuals in academia, including myself. I'm in academia, that's why I'm calling for this. Because every day I get a number of students call me. Employers, a lot of your employees are going through a lot of trouble. Are you ready to spend a little to support? On International Women's Day, I basically have seminars from morning to evening from different organizations.
Wow.
people are beginning to appreciate, and all of them has to do with mental health.
Yeah.
So we are beginning to get this understanding, and I'll encourage HR officers. Let's begin to provide education around mental health. Community members, let's not stigmatize. Stigma will send us nowhere, because at the end of the day, the person you are stigmatizing is a brother, is a sister, is a neighbor. And if you do that, you are probably denying this person an opportunity to get better.
Yeah.
And for any person at all who need help, should be bold enough to seek for the help.
Yeah.
Somebody came and was like, I wasn't too sure if this was what I actually needed. 2 sessions.
Wow.
The person is like, why is it I didn't do this? People don't know. And sometimes just because people don't even know where to get the support. So education like this is very important. I'm excited to be here. And if you're out there and you're looking for any avenue to get help, if you reach out to Matter Inspires, I'm sure they will easily connect you. But if you also go to Facebook, Tolek 13 is there.
Okay.
If you actually search on the
Tolek 13
at gmail.com.
Okay.
Yes.
That's your email.
That's our email.
What's your Facebook page?
Facebook page is Tolek 13.
Okay.
If you type Tolek 13, you will find us.
The Tolek is spelled
TOLEC 13.
Okay.
So you surely will find us and like us.
Okay.
If you go online now, we happen to be hooked up to an online health service. And so when you look for online mental health services in northern region, you will find Tolek. Tolek is located around King David, directly behind, opposite a farm gate, and then actually directly opposite Luxury. If you like to eat food, and Luxury is a place, they don't even know that I'm doing this, but it is because of people helping people to know where I can be located.
So but just go on Facebook and then just check the Tolek 13, and also the how do I put it, online. You said something, go online and check that.
Online mental health services in northern Ghana.
If you want to give your number out,
that'll be excellent.
Go ahead.
So if you also want to call, I have only one number.
Okay.
And that's the number I give. People ask me anytime I talk, my team members ask me, but you always giving your number. Won't they be disturbing you? I introduce that Tolek is a passion.
Yeah.
If you love something, you will not shine away from it. And so I want to be identified with the organization. And so if you call, if I don't even respond, immediately. In therapy, I don't take calls.
Okay.
So if I finish therapy, I'll call you back.
Yeah.
It's 0242 154006.
Say that again, slowly.
0242 154006.
I think we'll have that on the screen as well, so that if you want to call Doctor, you can call him. I believe now we are in a virtual world. You can probably do a virtual.
Yes, I do online sessions.
I
sit here and do sessions in Volta region, in Accra, in Kumasi. I just need an appointment, and that's all.
Yeah, and their services are quite affordable. It's not free. You have to know that, but very affordable. Very affordable. I think that if you are determined to do that, very affordable, you'll be able to get their services. And then so let's support Tolek, let's support mental health. Let's make sure that every one of us is healthy, that we can do on that, even though sometimes people hide under mental health to do something. It's another topic that we'll talk about. Some people can misbehave and be like, oh, their mental health is not okay. People, like, even with let me say, with the law, people will say, oh, the mental health was not what, and because of that, let me say, criminals are made to go free, or your friend, or even employees do something, they're like, we are going through a lot. Everybody is going through a lot. So in as much as we are projecting the advocacy of mental health, let's not also abuse it. If not, it will get to a point that somebody will genuinely have a mental health issue and will not be taken properly.
Yes.
Just like today, I saw a post that said that the Ghana National Fire Service received 691 calls last year, and about 500 of them were prank calls.
Exactly.
So if there is genuinely a fire outbreak somewhere, their response rate is of course going to reduce. So let's not hide behind mental health to misbehave. What we have to do, we just run our face and say, I'm going through so much. Of course, people are going through so much, but they have a way of managing it, so it has to become
so very difficult for them, because we still need to work, we still need to be there for each other, and we still need to be very active. Thank you so much for watching. I am Martha in Spice. Please do have a good night.